All right, welcome to the Wet, Wild, and Warpy channel for a major win interview this time. Today we're with Patrick, who won the Maryland Open with white scars. Say hi, Patrick.
Howdy. What's up?
Um, so question I like to start everybody off with is A, what armies do you play? And B, how long you been playing?
Well, I play in fifth, and I own just about every. I play on all of. I started off in fifth edition, Marines, gravitated towards bikes. Soon as it dropped, that I realized that the White Scars had a chapter that were since I was after the called the Dark Hunt. Since I was saw that, I knew I wanted bikes, and bikes were so I ripped off all the U's, put on the axes, and White Scars since sixth and seventh edition. Back to Ultramarine for that drop. I ripped off all the U's again and put the axes back on in Dark Hunt, which is a subchapter.
All right.
But I own the bloody ton of custodians. Got
We're experiencing a little bit of audio drop at the moment. So let's see if let's see. So, all right. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen again. So, so tell me again how long you've been playing because I think we missed just a second.
Since about the middle of fifth edition.
Middle of fifth edition. So you've been around for a day or two in this edition.
Yeah, but probably 10 years.
10 years. All right. So in that 10 years, have you win a lot of majors?
No, I've never won a major or a GT, but I've won. I've been close a lot. A lot of
Yeah.
finishes, best gen. 6-0, 6-0 at AT, 5-1, best Space Marine. It's just a matter. I've never closed out the big one.
Yep. Well, I want to congratulate you on that because I mean, winning a major is no easy feat. We know that for sure.
Especially because I didn't have it in my own control either. Not only did I had to win, but I had to win by enough
Yeah.
to still win because two other under, and some of them were Drakari. So I was feeling the pressure.
The scary, scary Drukhari. Did you face Drukhari at all during that tournament?
I did not. No. I played Death Guard. I played Iron Hands. Mechanicus. I played the nasty Silver Tide Necron list, and Ultramarine in round 3.
Slid right up there, avoiding the evil Drukhari.
Well, I was prepared for it.
Yeah.
Marine lists that were beating them are built.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was to say that and not give major props to Mark Drukhari Slayer.
Yeah.
Necron Drukhari Slayer. They had to get there, and I did business with them.
Yeah. No.
You fight the battle you're given. You can't plan or whatever what you're gonna face.
Yeah. No. I know that.
If you sell out on one, you'll get beat by the other.
Yeah. I've played Mark a couple times, and he is always a challenge to get past. He's a good player. We actually did an interview with him earlier this month. So if you're watching this and you enjoy it, feel free to check that out afterwards. Let's dig into this list. Let's figure out how this list works and what makes it a major winner.
Fire away.
All right. So I see you're paying for 2 extra relics in your white scars. What are those relics, and what do they do?
All right. So, well, basically, starting out, I run a Con bike. He's given and that's the Wrath of Heaven. The reason he gets the Wrath of Heaven, assassin. Extra to go out and kill something. He's to go out and capture. He's not the warlord because he's a suicide machine. Lieutenant, him, he had that to give him range to charge. Once army, my army is all about movement. It has to be fast. The chaplain, the relic, the rod of Galthmore has that, so at least I can somewhat interact with Psyker. Think about which bubble is effective against my. That rod gives a cast, fail a psychic test 15 inches of me, 4 up, which actually came into play in the final mark in the final battle round.
Yeah.
Acquisition.
All right. So
those
then.
are the relics.
Okay. So and then after our relics, we got so your two leaders are the lieutenant and the Primaris chaplain. So
Yeah,
you were
and the con.
right. You were saying that the con is for like essentially splitting out of there and killing something or just picking off an objective or something like that.
Well, you know what? He's super fast and he can go in, murder half a squad, and as well as for the relics too. We probably should go in Warlord. Move on, or we.
I'm losing your audio.
Sorry about that. Mic check. Mike.
It's just kind of coming in and out. All right.
I'll try not to shake around my headpiece. Let me try something.
All right.
Let me go to the Xbox. Hit.
All right. Trust in the Xbox.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can already tell that's gonna be way better.
Yeah, there we
Already
go.
tell.
Put on the Turtle Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you got the con, they're in the early game. He's there to give the reroll ones and whatever, and really that's his only mission until it's go time for him, and when he has to run off, capture an objective or kill something that's important, or you leave a character exposed, he has the ability and speed to jump over the top and just take out one of your core support units.
Right.
So that's he's an assassin.
Awesome. So and then your lieutenant, who you use a stratagem on, hero of the chapter. So what does that do, and how do you utilize him in
Well,
this list?
you give him that so you can take an extra warlord trait, and
Okay.
what I gave him was master of what's it called? Rights of War. That
Okay.
all units within 6 inches of him become OPSEC,
Yeah.
and also because he's a
I saw that one a lot this weekend. As far as in the
yeah.
Space Marine list.
Well, especially if you're using a Reaver Lieutenant, because not only could he give you OPSEC, but you can spend 2 TP on him. I don't know the name of the stratagem, but it can also turn off OPSEC within him. And then also there's a stratagem that you can use because he's in Phobos armor. You can spend a stratagem if he gets into trouble, trapped, or he's just not in the right spot. You could spend a stratagem, have him leave the board, and come back in the next turn in reserves.
Is that
So he gives the army a lot of flexibility.
so? That's in the next turn, right? Not the same turn. Yeah.
Yeah, in the next turn.
Okay. Um.
Yeah, I didn't have to use it, nor did I
No.
use the turn off OPSEC,
Okay. Well, they can't out
but
obsec
it's
you if
nice
they're
to
dead.
have the option. But that's usually what happens.
So this.
That is the intent. That is the game.
So this Primaris chaplain, what's he doing? What's his role? And why does he do it well?
All right. So the Primaris chaplain, usually the Marine players are buffing him up to be a killer, and I don't. He's there, to give, and there's an evolution of that from this list to where I'm probably going to the ACO. But right now he's got the recitation of focus and a canticle of hate and the litany of hate. So the canticle of hate gives you +2 to charge, which is imperative, especially for a lot of my armies on foot,
Yep.
so that extra movement's helpful. You roll a 12, you get a 14 or whatever. That allows you can't go past the 12, but
you can at least move around and really, get in and wrap dudes up. Don't let them out.
Yeah.
Touch tanks. Don't let them fire. No, this unit might be able to survive.
Yeah,
Um,
that
I
extra
did give
movement
him
is
the
always
rod.
good.
Yeah, I give him the rod. I give the unit +1 to hit. It was especially critical on the mountain bikes and shooting through forests. Things like that. Shooting at aircraft. Uh,
Because
they get.
there was a lot of force on that on the tables there at the Maryland Open. A big chunk in the
Yeah.
middle of the table, two smaller chunks on the sides. So the -1 to hit was definitely in full force.
Yeah, and I think that was a very useful stratagem. But if anybody on the planet can roll a one for those particular litanies, it's just almost hilarious how many times I roll a one. But
Um,
you know what? When you get them, they're good, and when they're good, they kill. And
yep.
they kill, you got something to touch because the vehicles are out
Yeah.
or the people are out of their vehicles. It's
Um,
good.
all right. So then we come to your troop squads. So you have two assault intercessor squads. They look like they're pretty much built out identically. Um,
Yeah, they're there for, and really very seldom did they ever get involved. Usually they're screening, holding objectives, protecting my backfield.
mhm.
Often I find them just trying to get into the fight later on. They're just there to, hold backfield objectives and screen.
Because somebody's got to do it, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Somebody's got to stand back there. Somebody's got to hold that, get you that 5 points or 10 points or whatever it happens to be for that primary that turn. Um,
Yeah,
so even though they're not killing stuff, they're still playing an important role in the list. Um,
yeah. Well, the list won't win without them. Someone's got to sit back and do nothing.
yep. So we move on to this Cursor squad at 105 points.
What the incursors do is, and that was critical in the in most of my victories, whether I was going first or second. In a It's because of the way my army's structured. Two of my secondaries right off the back are deploy scramblers and engage on all fronts,
Okay.
right? Because I know I'm going to be there. Very seldom do I take anything but those two. Uh, One, because it's hard to dislodge my people because they run fast and they get into cover. And, there was a good amount of cover down at the last three events, both
Yep.
MDOs and the Texas event. That was a great, great event. Um,
Oh, were you at the
but
Dallas Open?
yeah, I was down in Dallas. I took 18th,
Oh,
went
okay.
6-2. It was a good run.
Yeah. No, I
But
mean,
this list evolved from that list. So,
oh, okay.
yeah.
So, did you feel prepared for the new Jukari Codex when you went down there, or is this what came out of
Uh,
that?
so in the Texas event, I basically had more Melta than I
Okay.
had. So like, I forget the exact evolution of it, but I had a unit of, I think I replaced the Inceptors over the Eradicators,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I had another unit of melted dudes and a couple more. I forget exactly how that list was structured, but
Okay.
they got dumped because they're too slow for what I like.
Right.
And they don't bring enough to the table. That third screening unit, I replaced them with the second unit of Vanguards.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Well,
Yeah,
speed
dumped
does
them,
win
added
games.
a. It does, and
Speed wins
especially
games.
with the way my army's structured.
Yeah. Um, I'm sorry. I distracted you from the incursors. So,
Yeah,
um,
but anyways, like so, what their job is they forward deploy, usually far enough to away so that I'm not getting touched by something silly in the first turn,
okay.
but close enough that I can advance and charge and wrap up a close unit. Or in like the case when I fought Mark, I was able to advance, charge, set up a nasty screen to stop his two killer units with the Electro Priest. I was
Yeah.
able to trap their vehicles in his deployment zone, which was the key to victory,
Yeah.
really.
Um,
I had to survive his shooting and keep his bad things from coming and touching me, and that's what I did, and that's what he wanted to do. So,
he
um,
well, and he likes to put the hurting on you too.
oh, that's
Um,
why they call him the Hurt Locker. Yeah.
um,
So, and we're not talking about that game yet, but I suicided that unit and the Incursor, Inceptors. into his army in the first turn, and they both died. But it was imperative. That was the only way I was going to keep him away from.
Well, so, sometimes sacrifices are required.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes you got to suicide a squad for the rest of the squads to live. Um,
yeah, most definitely,
all right.
most definitely.
So sliding down to our elite slots, we have the apothecary. And yeah, let's start
And
with the
so I gave
apothecary.
him the yeah, so I gave him the chief apothecary,
Mm-hmm.
selfless healer, warlord trait. Spent a CP on him. I don't think he had any other upgrades. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure I gave the lieutenant the plume of the plains runner, but he's there just to keep him alive.
Okay.
It was unfortunate. I would have spent another CP on him. Could I give him the the Vox Spiritum and allow him to increase his range? And currently in my list now, I'm working on ways to make it just a tad bit more survivable. So some of the modifications that I'm making, uh, I think for the ACO, but I'm not sure yet. I might run the same damn list. I'm not.
Well,
Luckily, I got another 7 days to figure it out.
always improving, right? Lists are never
Trying
done.
to.
They're just as good as they'll get for right now.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's necessary, but I do become very susceptible to mortal wounds
Yeah.
because I got a lot of bodies, 16 units, but it's still not a lot of bodies, and
No.
it's only 16 units. So,
Yeah. I think when
staying alive is imperative.
we were talking to Austin Wingfield, he was saying that his Soul Burner Petard list was putting out 40 mortal wounds per turn.
Yeah, which
And
is
that's
beneficial to me if I do what I'm thinking I'm doing. That's trading off the apothecary for the Primaris Apothecary. Then I can give him the Vox Experitum. I increase my mortal rune, my feel no pain range from 3 to 6 inches. That'll help get some of those other units in
that's a
there.
big range.
Plus the yeah, and then given the changing my chance with the chaplain to the what am I thinking about? Hold on. What are my traits? The one with the shit. Come on, it'll be right there. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
We'll roll back to it.
The
Don't.
chant it does. Yeah, I'll look it up while we're chatting.
Yeah, we'll roll
But
back to
the
it.
yeah,
So
mechanical of
we move on to
go ahead.
Blade Guard Veteran, and I'm assuming your
Yeah.
Blade Guard Veteran do exactly what Blade Guard Veteran do well, and that is kill things and don't die. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. And depending on the type of mission and how I use them, in some instances, when we had a nice center objective, then I would double stack them and leave one as a bait unit, trying to drag people in, coming to challenge me. And then the other one would be the pounce unit, jump on top of them. Plus with the lieutenant around, the entire blob of 10 hypothetically is objective secured. So
Yep.
that's
So they're
extremely beneficial.
just sitting there. Were you taking oaths at all this weekend? This last
I
weekend?
take it when there's a center objective, and sometimes I took it like when I played the Iron Hands player. He had a brick of 10 Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators, and I took oath, and he's like, "I'm taking oath," and I knew full well that I was not interested in the middle of the table,
Right.
right? But I took it because he had vehicles, dreadnoughts, he had a lot of characters, and I knew I would get my points there and kill him. So I
Right.
forego the potential 8 to 10 points of holding the middle. I think I grabbed it on the first turn before he got there with the throwaway unit,
Yep.
and then just worked around the table and killed everything else. I know I wasn't going to score the max points on objective, but I knew that Marine on Marine matchup, I'll take that matchup any day.
Yeah. Um.
I think I win that 80% of the time.
So then we move down to your Vanguard veterans in it, and they're all Lightning Claw Storm Shields.
Yeah, 100%. I had the Thunder Hammer on them in Dallas, or no, Power Fist. I had Power Fist on them in Dallas, and they just, the damn things miss. I'm like,
Minus
better
one to
off
hit
with more
hurts.
attacks. Yeah, better off with more attacks because they're never supported.
No.
These guys are harassing units. They're there. They're primarily used to drop in, grab me a deploy scrambler if someone fails to screen, and then if they don't turn around and deal with them, someone's getting wrecked.
Right.
They let them sit there. I'm like, oh, that's a good day. And then they Voltron out. They do their advance, they charge, and they murder some. And
Well,
OPSEC, that's what they are.
yeah.
That 5-man unit, 21 attacks, in on threes, re-rolling the wound is quite substantial.
Well, they deal
AP two,
2 damage, right?
AP, 2 damage after turn 3.
Okay. So you gotta
Yeah,
wait a little bit, but you're probably bringing the squad in for turn 3 for deploy scramblers anyway. So, but then they gotta wait a turn to
yeah.
charge. But
Well, as soon as they open the door, they're on the table. And
all right,
and the reason is that, they're if you're coming in turn 3 and doing deploy scramblers, they're not in the fight yet.
right,
You want them on the table in turn 2, sitting there, so that in turn 3 they're advancing and making a charge that's not 9 inches and forcing me CP
right.
to make it easier to get.
All
It's
right.
too risky. I'd even bring them into my own deployment zone in turn 2, so that they're in action in turn 3.
And just get those deeper deploys later in the game.
Yeah, and that way that doesn't force me to overextend my army until I have to.
Right. So then we got 2 units of attack bike squads, and I ran into a couple of these at the Maryland Open, and they hurt.
6 melter shots and 12 bolter shots is no joke. In
No.
turn 2 they're even better because of the AP1 tactical doctrine. Turn 1 -5.
Yeah.
Especially the usually depending on the battlefield or who I'm attacking. The chaplain's going to give one of them +1 to hit.
Okay.
Then they're shooting through the forest, still hitting on threes, because there was the center forest
Yeah.
wreaking havoc on a lot of folks. So that's good, being able to roll up and touch it.
Yeah.
Not having to get into the forest, getting too close.
Right.
And the reason there's 2 units is just for redundancy.
Yep.
Because it's knocking 12 wounds off something that can't be protected with any
Well, when you roll in
any
d6s,
kind of buffs is the thing.
when you roll in d6s for damage, it's always a 1. It's always a 1. Or at least when I roll
Yeah.
it.
Well, if
So
you get it when it's 12, it's always a 3. It could be an 8. So
yeah,
that's helpful.
yeah, that's helpful. So then we have your interceptors.
And they were critical to the win against Mark for sure, because they died fast. They were very useful in the Ultramarines matchup. They were imperative in the Necron matchup. They just do a lot of damage. Now they're also getting cut too, I think.
Yeah.
And I think I'm replacing them with the same unit of assault bolters. 1, because you can advance with them, 2, strength 5, and the same dudes are putting out 24 shots. So I
Okay.
think that might be more beneficial in the Drakari matchup,
Yeah.
as I'm thinking it, because I got what I need to take down tank, right? And then these guys could help. But also when the bodies are on the ground and I got to chew through a unit of Rex,
You want a
24
couple extra
strength
shots.
5 bolter shots would be helpful, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in turn 2 when they're AP2,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
You'll
So
al-
that's the thought process behind it. I will see if it
Yeah.
bears benefits.
Well, if you end up winning, we're gonna have you back on here to talk to you about it again.
Well, good, and I'll be like, damn, I'm a mastermind. Look at me go! I'm so smart.
All right. So your first game, it looks like you were running up against Iron Hands. Up
Yeah,
against.
yeah. And he's out of the Costa Club, Anthony.
Yep.
He's a good player, man. He's a solid Iron Hands player. The dude, that's him and Death Watch. The last time I faced him, he beat me with Death Watch pretty soundly.
Yeah.
I was a bit taken back, but sometimes the bug, sometimes you're the windshield.
Yep.
But anyways, this match he had the dreadnoughts, he had a couple of suppressor squads not suffering the penalties from moving, re-rolling 1s. He's the one that had the huge prick of Terminators and took oath. So basically, I took oath and I baited him like I was going to go up and do something in the middle, and I just ran away from him and went and killed everything else. It was a closer game. I think that ended like 87-67 or something like that. It wasn't a huge win, but I got through it. He's a good player. He's out
Yep.
of New York. I like that whole crew up there, the Carcosa Club.
So I totally didn't realize that we didn't talk about your land speeder storms.
Oh yeah, those are the MVPs right there.
Those are your
'Cause they
MVPs
can
right there.
outflank. They can outflank naturally. They're really great at getting oath at the moment early in the game if you get first turn. Um, Due to the nature of my opponents, I think I outflanked them more than I didn't. Uh, because they have the natural outflank from the scout ability.
Yep.
Uh, and they're really good at getting engaged on all fronts. They can hold backfield objectives, and one of the missions they can actually do in action. I think is the direct assault one. There.
Yeah, or the
Um,
vital information one, maybe.
that's the one, vital
Yeah,
intelligence. Yeah,
yeah.
so they can
No,
do the vital intelligence. In that game, I actually left him back there and sent the intercessors up.
no.
Um,
Actually, I really like that mission. I mean, so I play craft. Well, not craft worlds. I play Eldari in general, but right now I'm
yeah,
playing Drakari, and that mission is just so phenomenal for MSU that moves fast. You're like, yeah. So I'm on every objective, and you can pick which ones you
yeah.
knock me off of.
That's pretty much the one. What I did against Mark. I was on the entire board,
And then
and he's the one with all the units. It was
yeah,
great.
and once you hold it for a turn, it's yours until he comes and takes it. So
Yeah,
it if you don't get to those objectives first, and or as long as you don't get knocked off of it first, then your
yeah.
opponent's just making that uphill climb because not only do they have to go to an objective, but they have to take it from you, and like it's just going first in that mission is incredibly beneficial, especially if you can survive a turn.
Yeah, I don't even remember who I played that one. I think it was the Death Guard round that I played that mission.
Um, so then you went up against Chaos Space Marines, going up against Michael.
Vaginos.
Yep, I wasn't even gonna try it.
Yeah,
I was gonna say V.
he's a great guy. It's so funny, right? The last Maryland Open, I played him in the same round on the same mission. And he had actually changed his list up, right? The first time I beat him pretty handily. And this, I think, was a pretty solid win too, but it was a lot closer and it was a lot more sketchier. Um, that list, he went and stole TJ Lanigan's list, and he was using that, and that's a much stronger list.
Yeah.
It has all the mortal wound bombs. It has cast in does a mortal wound 7 inches, 7 inches.
Yep.
He had the two units of regular Terminators, uh, and then he had the one unit of the Death Shrouds, I think it is. And I put everything but the kitchen sink into those clowns. I don't think I killed 2.5 Terminators the entire game. But I knew what his objective was to come control, bully the center,
Yep.
and push through my lines, right? But I was able to hold him out. And, unlike the mistake I made when I lost in Texas to the Death Guard, because it was virtually the same list, I met him in the middle and died. The lesson learned was, I don't need to engage them in the center of the battlefield. I need to pepper them with shots, stay away from them. I'm much faster than they are.
Yep.
Run around and kill everything else, and that's exactly what I did, and I was able to handle that mission
Yep. Because you're
uh,
much faster, you can essentially just
pretty easily.
you can just dance around your opponent. You don't have to go engage them. You just
Yeah.
if any
Until I get good, and they don't care about most of my guys getting
right,
good. Now the Blade Guard damage stays at 2, but my Vanguard bets are at 1. My
right.
meltas are all -1, and sometimes the stupid dudes who roll 4 ups, and this time he did. I don't, like I said, I didn't kill but 2.5 damn Terminators. I killed 2 more, but he brought them back
Right.
with some stratagem they got, which is, I feel him.
Yep.
My apothecary brought back plenty of things. Um, but that was the mission plan. Stay away from him, run around the edges, kill everything else.
Yep.
And that's what I did. He ended a game. He had left a hole at one point, and I Voltroned in some my vanguards, killed off some of his characters, took away his psychic prowess, and then he just had Terminators running around trying to curb stomp what was left of my army.
And
But at that
Terminators
point,
are
it was too
slow.
far, too much, too late. Yeah, but there you go.
Terminators are slow.
Can't kill them, but they can't get you either.
If they can't touch you, they can't hurt you.
Yeah, well, they hurt plenty, believe me. But sooner or later, you got to give them up to slow them down. Yeah,
So it
that
looks
was
like
a
then you
good
went in
good
the
match.
Ultramarines list.
Yeah, that was
You were playing
he
Derek
did.
Simmon.
Yeah, and he was a great opponent. He was a lot of fun. But that game, like I said, I think I finished the year I played, well, like year and a half that I played Ultramarines, I was I was 2 times best Space Marine at ATC. I was number 2 in the world in 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 Space Marines that year. I played a lot of Ultramarines, and the way I played my Gilliman is like I played my White Scars, same way. So I know Ultramarines cold,
Yep.
and I knew where to stay away from, and the edges, the early game. I don't think I fired a bullet for 3 turns. It was just about running around, taking the objectives on the flanks, which I was able to do. I held I think that was the 4 objective mission, but I
Yeah.
had 3 of the 4 early. He was end up in the middle. I sacrificed some units to keep him stuck there and just give him some easy things to kill, and then pretty much picked him off at the edges. Decided to finally engage. I think it was like turn 3 or turn 4, but at that point had such battlefield control that whatever died didn't even,
Right.
you know, that was a tough game for him. I think I scored 100
He did score
in that
100.
one. Yeah. And then once again, that's just my knowledge of his army is,
Yeah.
that goes without saying.
And that
So that's a tough game like
goes
that.
to show you if you
But
learn the game, you win more often. So study the
yeah,
game. Study the
I'm
game.
definitely a student,
Yep.
forever a student.
Never master. Ah. No. Um. All right. So heading into this is day 2 now,
Yeah,
and you show up, and turns out you're playing Necrons. Do you
yeah,
approach
the
this
Silver
game
Tide.
different?
I was, I was extremely worried about this matchup, but I did everything I could to get in the T-whip position, right? So, he come up and he got first turn too, which is even worse, because he was able to spread around the board and, just cover a ton of area,
Yep.
right? So, and actually he actually clocked out in turn 4, but he just has so many models,
Yep.
and he was spending too much time thinking about what he was going to do. When you
Right.
play an army like that, you just got to do. It doesn't
Yep.
even matter if it's right or wrong. You just got to get there and touch something. And because he was a combat army and I'm a combat army, we were consuming a lot of time.
Right.
But the thing is, he had to move a ton of stuff. But whatever, he pushed up hard on the left flank. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
actually, I actually went over there and met him with a bunch of assets, and was able to knock down about 25 of those, or not 25, but like a good 8 or 10 of his Necrons,
Yep.
and he respawned a bunch of them, but they went in the other direction to grab
Okay.
an objective, right? Which
Yep.
actually opened the door for me on that flank, which I was so thrilled I couldn't stand it. Um, and then what what I did was just peppered, and then I pushed hard. So I was holding the left, I had my own, and then I started pushing hard on the right, through the middle, and then I think around turn 3, he had to get his Silent King in there and just wreaking havoc on some of my melta bikes and things like that. But at that turn, uh, I had made a bunch of 6-up feel no pains from the apothecary.
Yeah.
Was able to keep one of the units of bikes alive, and I told him before the game started I was going to kill his Silent King, and if he said that he was gonna buy me a beer. And I don't drink, and nor did he honor his thing. But I did manage to kill that son of a bitch. But I think the game turned when there was right in the middle. I think it was early turn 4, and he had spent his CP to do that massive reanimate,
Yep.
and only brought back like 3 guys. He lost like 8 or 9 of the dudes, and once they
Yep.
lose like that, I don't think they could come back. But whatever, I was able to kill off that squad. And then I pushed out. I was holding all the objectives at that point except for his home, and then boom, he clocks out.
Yep.
Right, probably right at the end of right at the beginning of turn 4, somewhere in there. And then all I had to do was move around the battlefield.
Yeah.
Um, I felt bad for him, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We each get the same amount of time, and if we're not using the same clock, it's not fair to your opponent.
Yeah. I mean,
And I lost way too many finals
yeah.
to clock that. We don't even practice around here without a chess clock.
Right. I mean, you hate to see it happen, but sometimes it happens, and that's
Yeah, but it ain't my
just the
problem.
way. Yep.
It's just
It's the way it goes.
yeah. I
Um.
clocked out in round 5.
Yeah.
I had a turn and a half. I couldn't do anything but take armor saves. But you got to get yourself in a position. Stephen Pamprine, a great orc player, everybody knows him. That son of a bitch would be playing his orcs, and he clocked out in turn 3 and turn 4 all the time and still win the game because he owns the board.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You got to make your decisions. You don't have time to think. You play an army like that, you got to move.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, you got to get there
You
and
gotta
do
go
your
off.
business.
Yeah, trust your gut.
Yep. Yep,
Um,
absolutely. You didn't get time. Like a small elite army like mine, which is actually kind of big for an elite army.
yeah.
Um, you know, I can take my time usually in the beginning. I can really think through the deployment, which I think is the most important of the game
Yep.
next to movement. And then because I know what I want to accomplish in the next battle round,
Yep.
and I do so quickly.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very
you know,
similar to how my Drukhari work. So turns 1 and 2 are vital in where I place, how I place, and essentially the setup for the emptying of transports and the sprinting of guys, and then it becomes a very quick game.
yes,
Because once things start to die, turns take a lot less time. So,
that is
um,
a true statement.
so then we move into Battle Round 5, which
Yep,
that was your game against Mark.
like the hurt like a hurdle.
Mark the Hurt Locker Hurdle. Who's a fantastic player, great guy. You managed to pull it out. You were saying that you had a couple units that kind of suicided on turn 1, and that's
Yeah, so luckily I got first turn. I was prepared for not first turn,
okay.
but I did the magic roll, and that's a long story. Goes back to Texas, but anyways, rolled a 6 on the going first, and I had infiltrated. I had held my infiltrators back until I saw where his transports were going for his electro priests,
All
right?
right.
And once I saw that, I deployed them, 9 inches off the line in the pathways where he could drive his vehicles.
Okay.
And had he gone first, they would have been stopped there. He had also spent a ton of CP on redeployments for all the vehicles,
Yep.
which he did use, but going in the other direction, not towards me,
Okay.
to try to keep himself from Melta. But
Yep.
unfortunately, there's nowhere for him to go because he and I were deployed on the same flank.
Well,
So I was
and
able to bust out.
the board's not big enough to hide from those bikes.
Yeah, well, especially because you can advance and spend CP to fire and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. You know, so not that I ever used it, but the threat was there.
Yeah.
And just so you make them respect it, because if not, you're definitely going to die to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're
No, I
taking,
completely.
12 melter shots, multi melter shots to boot. Good
So,
range.
after this game, would there been had there been another game, you would have been playing Kurt Phillips's Dark Eldar. Did you look at his Dark Eldar? And kind
No, I
of
watched him play. Yeah, he was playing Austin in round 4, so I
okay.
was there and I watched some of that game. I really didn't have a plan developed yet, and I normally
Okay.
don't, right? I usually don't try not to think about the match that I have coming, especially when I know who I'm playing.
Yep.
I don't ask no questions. I don't know nothing, and I leave it for the right at the battlefield in deployment. I ask, the common questions. What does that do? What's its threat range? What does that do?
Yep.
How does that happen? And then just to re-emphasize in my mind what I'm dealing with,
Yep.
and look at the mission, look at the table, and ask my question to my opponents, and I formulate my initial battle plan.
Right.
You know,
Well,
whether I'm hiding or going all in
you
or
don't want to
whatever.
outthink yourself, right?
No,
So,
I don't. I let the game do its natural thing. I'm a soldier. I served in the U.S. Army Rangers at Fort Benning many many moons ago, and that's the same way that we I was trained then. Is how I play on the field of 40K. Light, fast moving units. Reconnaissance and tough. That's why
yep.
there's so many veterans in all my armies. Yeah, even my previous iteration before GW killed all my vet bikes. It would not be uncommon for me to have 3 units of 5 vet bikes with storm bolters and storm shields. I love those units. They'd be in my army today, had they not killed them. So that's just my style of play. So I'm a lot like the Eldar, except a lot tougher.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
all
that's
I gotta do is roll a couple of 4-ups, and then you're in trouble.
yeah, that's kind of what I was seeing when I was going through your list and we were talking about your list. I was like, he still moves fast, he still hits hard, but he can also survive a bolter shot or two, right?
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I'm not, well, you know what? In the first round, I think I got assaulted by Anthony from the Cacosa Club, uh, and he hit me with like 4 or 5 wounds or something. I failed every one of them on 3-ups. I'm like, oh boy, is this what my tournament's gonna be? I
This is
was
a
like,
bad start.
oh no. That's like the first play of the game. I failed 4 3-up saves. I'm like, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Luckily
So,
it turned the way it turned, but
given that you won this tournament and you played a
yeah.
lot of top lists,
Yeah.
where do you think the meta currently sits as far as its health, and what would you like to see changed?
Well, I think early on, with this Drakari coming out and Dark Angel, it is what it is.
Right.
At the end of the day, I go back to like invisible screamer unit, 2-up rollables and
Yep.
things like that. So, the stupid, Wolf Star lists and all this ridiculousness that we've always had to fight. So there's always the boogeyman in the room. That's what it is, what it is.
Yep.
Like I said before, sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield. Uh, so I think in today's meta, I think there's room for every type of list,
Yeah.
and you can see it every week with who's winning,
Yep.
like this weekend alone. Sister to Battle won one, White Scars won one. Uh, I forget what the other major tournament was, but I think it was a Dark Angel win,
Yep.
right?
I think so.
And I think that a lot of the people are playing a lot of Jakari. I know poor Sasha Eldecraft. He had to play 3 Jakaris on the way to where he did, and he made table 2, I think.
Yeah.
And he was playing Kurt, right? Kurt
Yeah,
Phillips.
he was playing Black
Yep.
Templars, right?
Yeah, he was, which is an army that does what my army does. I just don't think as well. But he had some big, heavy dreadnoughts.
Okay.
I met when I was playing. I think Oliver Smith is it's Oliver something. But I think it's Oliver Smith. I played him in Texas. You see, he was running White Scars or Red Scars, but he was running the three dreadnoughts with the Volkite cannons,
Yep.
and those things ate me up. As a matter of fact, 3 of my 5 losses this year, I think I've lost 5 times. 3, 4. No, I've only lost 4 times this year. But 3 of those losses were to units with Volkite cannons. So I think those are my kryptonite. Uh,
Yeah. So
so I
I think
yeah.
so far my out of my last big tournaments I've lost mostly to Space Marines. It was one Dark
Yeah,
Angels, one Iron Hands, um, and then uh, AdMech, which I got big
yeah, I
issues
think
with
we,
AdMech.
yeah. Well, I've only played the AdMech once. I've played a lot of Death Guard.
Yeah.
I think out of my 13, 70, 18 games this year, and that's all I've played really. 18 games this year competitively. I think a good 6 of them have been against Death Guard, maybe even 7. So, and I've only lost twice, and that was one of them was my own fault for running into the middle, and the other
Yep.
time was the Volkite cannons and just this one dreadnought hit a unit of Inceptor Marines with a standard shooting, and
Yep.
I had a 3-up armor save, and he wiped the whole squad. So sometimes it just happens.
So
But that's part of the evolution of my current list. I think I'm working on,
yeah.
which is to make them more survivable. Get
Okay.
that 5-up save against mortals, and
Yep.
if that fails, then hypothetically it's not called to feel no pain. So I think you still get to feel no pain. So against a mortal wound, I'm looking at a 5-up, 6-up save. That's why I'm not. I'm thinking I'm gonna drop the +1 to hit and go with the other stratagem on. But that's part of my thought thought process for the where this list is gonna go
Yep.
to.
Um.
And I think it has to evolve.
So was there anything notable about your tournament experience or your list that we didn't cover?
No, I think we pretty much hit it. It works the way you think it works. It runs fast. It punches really hard. It has a lot of bodies, and when I need to, I can reach out and just murder some.
Yep.
I think those are all key components to winning a 40K match.
They definitely don't
I'm not
hurt.
a shooting army. I'm not a full punching army. I'm a nice mix of both,
Yeah.
and all of it's fast,
Yeah. I think
except for a couple of units.
those three features, being able to stand your ground in close combat, being able to shoot decently, and moving fast, I think those are three really good traits of all comers lists as well. You want to be able to get around the
Which is how
board.
I play.
Right. Because you don't need to, if you can do those three things well, it doesn't matter who you play, there's a way to win, generally.
Yeah.
There's generally a way to win. You may have to figure it out, and it may take you more than one or two tries, but there's generally a way. So.
Well, I think that's important. If you're a new player, or someone that's mid tables and struggling against people, you find what hurts you the most, and you find a buddy that plays it, and you play it over and over again. I know back in sixth edition when the stupid wave serpent spam, and everybody was bringing 7 wave serpents and
Yep.
that stuff, and I just couldn't beat them. And I had a buddy that owned a bunch of wave serpents. They weren't even all wave serpents. I'm like, that's a wave serpent. That could be a wave serpent.
Today
And
it's
I
a
just
wave
had him
serpent.
whoop my ass day after day until I figured out and unlocked the puzzle.
Yep.
You know,
Cause
so there's a way around it, and some of the top guys are doing it. That
Yep.
doesn't mean you need to change
No.
lists. That doesn't mean you need to, jump around and meta chase or whatever.
Yep.
I think the beauty of this hobby is you should be able to play what you want and figure out how to work it.
Yeah, and
'Cause I think, yeah, go ahead.
that's one of the things I think they're doing really well in ninth so far with the codexes that come out, is that every army that has come out is there's a way to win, right?
Yeah.
There's a way to win with every army that's come out. We're seeing great diversity in the field of battle. We're seeing a ton of different factions being played. We're seeing a ton of different armies being played, and even inside those armies, they're not all being played the same way.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, there's very few similar. There's similarities, but there's so many different types of builds. Even in the White Scars meta alone,
Right.
everybody's gravitating towards the dreadnoughts and so on. I own 3 of them, but I look at them, I put them in a list, I build it with it, and I'm like, I don't like it.
It doesn't do
It's not.
what you
Yeah.
want.
No, they're slow and they're ponderous, and I don't know. I'm gonna do some testing, but I don't think they're gonna make the cut. Every time I gotta invest 170 points in a walking robot that can't run away and get around terrain and run through terrain, got to take the long way around. Now it has its benefits, setting up fields of fire and so on.
Yeah.
But then you're playing a static game.
Yeah.
You're not moving around the battlefield. You're not. I was talking about Oliver's list, but he had 30 Vanguard vets that he could combat squad. And that's
Yep.
what he was able to outmuscle me at my own game. Plus his dreadnoughts did some work. I only killed one of the bastards. What are you gonna do? That was a good list.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's somewhat my style, but not so much.
Well,
But I took a little bit. You always take what you need and leave the rest.
don't give anything back.
Yep. Yep.
So before we head out today, is there any shout outs you want to do? Anybody you want to reach out to? Say.
I would thank Anthony Birdsong for putting on an amazing event, allowing us to finally demask and be free for a few. It was amazing. Tournament was great. Texas was great. Bruce Merker. And I'm looking forward to go and see Reese and the whole crew in Atlantic City in about a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And
I look
see all
forward-
the boys.
I look forward to my next interview with you when you win that tournament.
Yeah, well, you know what? Why not? If I skipped the GG and went to major, why not a super major?
Right,
Whatever
why
the mind
not?
will conceive and believe is true, it will achieve.
All you got to do is
Only
believe
gotta
it.
win 9.
All right. Hey guys, thanks for
brother, I
watching
appreciate
today. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the bell for notifications. We're looking forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, it'll be great, man. We're ready.
Yep.
Yeah,
Where's
we will.
my mouse?
Oh, is that?
I said, where's my mouse?
Space Marine.